born into a world where heroes are born and not made. Ein is cursed with a horrible ability that makes him weak and worthless in the eyes of everyone, rejected and despised by society. He is granted a rare second chance at life, and with it, he chooses the path of redemption, determined to prove that even someone like him can rise to become a hero. The story begins with a man standing on the edge of a cliff, deciding to end everything as he considers himself weak. He jumps with his eyes wide open and smiles, hiding his pain, stating that there's no reason for him to exist since he has achieved nothing in his life. He is sure he has lived the worst life possible. And as he is about to meet his demise, his eyes are filled with regret. At this moment, we are taken back in time and shown a group of adventurers fighting monsters inside a dungeon. The swordsman of the adventurer party, Zoid, takes the giant rat-like monster head-on, while the mage of the group, Jeline, takes her time casting a finishing spell. The man from earlier is also in their team, standing behind Jeline like a total loser, and it is clear that he is a total baggage whose job, ironically, is to carry his team's baggage. Shortly after, Jeline completes her fire spell and blasts the rat monster with it, eliminating it with one strike. After defeating the monster, both Jeline and Zoid turn to Ein, who they refer to as the garbage collector, and instruct him to collect the rubbish from the monster's corpse. He is so weak that he trips and falls, embarrassing himself in front of the people who already consider him completely useless. As Zoid starts bullying the poor kid for being a total liability, Jeline stops him, telling him to cut Ein some slack, stating that he is merely a low commoner, unlike them high commoners. Ein apologizes for falling, explaining that he's carrying a lot of weight on his back, which made him lose his balance. In any case, he gets to do his job and uses the only skill he has, appraisal, to appraise the monster. Ein tells us that his job is appraiser, which is considered a very low common job in this world, and that is why he is treated like trash by everyone. In this world, when a person is born, they are given a job class by the light goddess and a skill by the darkness goddess. While skills can be mastered to acquire various abilities, jobs are fixed throughout the person's life, basically becoming the differentiator of how important that person is. The ranking system works like a pyramid, dividing jobs into 3 classes: rare, high common, the class that both Jeline and Zoid have, and low common, the bottom of the pyramid, which is Ein's class. Mostly, farmers and appraisers fall under the category of low common, as they are non-combatant classes. Ein mentions that, in most cases, jobs can be inherited from one's parents, meaning that if you get a bad job from the goddess due to pure bad luck, you can still inherit your parents' job, which works like a second chance. However, in Ein's case, he lost both of his parents at a very early age and is stuck with his appraiser job. But he didn't give up and took the job of an adventurer instead of a farmer, hoping that he'd strike a fortune one day, essentially taking a gamble. Unfortunately for him, luck has never been on his side. So, as an adventurer, the only thing he does is appraise monsters' corpses to determine what parts of them can be used. He inspects the corpse of the rat and finds the only valuable item, its teeth, which can be used to make weapons. However, he is so weak that he can't even collect the teeth from the corpse, showing that he's so incompetent that he can't even handle garbage as a garbage collector. His incompetence makes Zoid so mad that he throws a pebble at him. As Ein shows the slightest annoyance in his eyes, Zoid kicks him in the face, reminding him that they took pity on him by taking him into their adventure party, and so he should be forever grateful to them. Ein apologizes for his insolence, and without saying another word, does his job, accepting the fact that the world is unfair. While he guts the corpse, Jeline starts mocking him, calling him all sorts of things like filthy and gross for putting his hands on a filthy dead rat. Her mockery only makes Ein more regretful of his sorry life. But to continue living in this world, he silently tolerates the cruel treatment he is receiving. He can only blame his job and the light goddess for ruining his life, but even that won't solve his problems. In any case, the group continues their way inside the dungeon and comes across a hellhound corpse. Zoid tells the garbage collector to get to work again, but Ein hesitates, finding it rather strange that such a strong monster is mysteriously laying dead here. He remembers that the guild said highly valuable monsters like hellhounds aren't found in this dungeon, which makes him even more suspicious of the corpse. But Zoid doesn't care and literally kicks Ein towards the corpse, telling him to quit his yapping and start working. Feeling helpless, Ein uses his appraisal skill, discovering that there are a lot of rare materials on the monster's corpse. As he starts collecting the materials, Zoid notices that there's another path leading to what looks like another hellhound corpse. Ein figures that something's definitely wrong, as the map the guild provided them with showed that the dungeon has only one way through. He begs both Zoid and Jeline to turn back, not wanting to take any more of his nonsense. Zoid decides to kick Ein out of their party for continuously disobeying him. So, Ein reconsiders due to his poor financial condition and follows along with Zoid and Jeline down the new path, which eventually leads them to a dozen more dead hellhounds. Although it is obvious that this is a trap, Ein remains silent, and once they venture deep enough, a pack of living hellhounds surrounds them, revealing that this was all a trap from the start. Realizing that they can't win against so many hellhounds, Zoid proposes that they sacrifice Ein to buy enough time to run, to which Jeline agrees. She ruthlessly uses a paralysis spell on him, leaving him to be the food of dozens of hellhounds. Surrounded by the demonic hellhounds, Ein almost pees his pants. He gets bitten from several sides by the skulls and soon ends up feeling pain in his hands, which means his paralysis is slowly wearing off. Summoning a little strength, he grabs a rock and uses it to slam the skull of one of the skulls. After that, he grabs his bag of fruits and throws it at them. Just then, one of the skulls takes a bite off an apple as an appetizer as they prepare to come at him for the second time. Sensing the danger that is incoming, he seizes the chance to run for his sorry life. When all hope seems to be lost, he realizes that there is no hope in sight as the dungeon's exit has been sealed. He figures that he is trapped with the skulls. However, he turns around to find a blood trail leading him to what he expected to be a safe place. Unfortunately, he is only led to a dead end at the edge of a cliff. Looking back, he realizes that the hellhounds are catching up with him and could end his pathetic life if he goes in that direction. What would you do if you were him? Stuck in between two juicy death options, Ein is reminded of his early life as an appraiser. He had just adjusted into becoming an adventurer to survive, even though he was an amateur. He resents Zoid for making him seem foolish and causing him to bow to him, only to abandon him. Even with the anger in his mind, he is unable to fight back. Considering how useless he is, he blames no one but himself for his current situation, due to the fact that he had run away from his job. At that moment, he comes to the conclusion that it is too late to show regrets, and he takes the bold step of jumping off the cliff. While falling into the endless ditch, he recounts how pathetic his life has been and continues to dive down like a Superman wannabe. He comes to terms with the fact that he was rubbish all his life and has now ended his life as rubbish. While lying unconscious, a strange, well-equipped woman in white comes to him and merges her lips with his face. Having fallen off from such a distant place, one would have thought that it was the end of his life. However, things turn around differently when he wakes up in a little pool of water, alive. He is unable to trace the reason for his existence after such a life-claiming incident. Following his survival, he observes his environment and sees a very beautiful tree that he recognizes to be the Yggdrasil tree. Please tell me I'm not the only one that finds this name weird. This tree happens to be very rare in his town, and he seems really excited to be seeing that it exists in such a beautiful place. Having studied the environment, things begin to feel strange with him as he seems very lonely. Seeing that it will be difficult to call for help in such a place, he decides to find a means of survival by running out of the place through an open door that he had seen. Meanwhile, the girl who had saved his wretched life tries to warn him, but he seems very distant physically and even at heart, having been given a chance of survival the second time. The foolish guy still runs towards the closest dungeon he can find. Turning away from the beautiful tree, he heads on to the entrance of the ugly labyrinth where he meets his doom. Although his intention is to run for his life and survive since he had just reincarnated, this turns wrong as he is immediately attacked by a wild beast which seems very powerful. What an idiot. Ein is shocked and is unable to make a significant move for the first few minutes. The next thing that happens is that his ear is chopped off mercilessly. He falls to the ground and wriggles his body in intense pain. The stupid boy had refused to embrace a good life and had chosen to walk into danger himself. He had thought that he would be able to navigate through the monsters he is likely to meet, or perhaps his stupid head will be given another chance of survival. Having bitten off his ear, things become crazier as the monster mistakes him for barbecue chicken and cuts through different parts of his body without the slightest iota of mercy. With this, Ein screams very loudly and uncontrollably. He is now very much aware that death is staring at him and there is no escape. The moment the monster makes a move to finish him off, another beast appears from behind to eliminate it, immediately causing a spill of blood all over the place. Things get very complicated as there is no glimpse of hope in Ein's countenance. Moreover, the beast had killed the monster so that there can be easy access to its original prey, which is Ein. Meanwhile, at this time, Ein's mouth is open in wild surprise. With fear running through his spine, the beast has just killed a very powerful monster and is now left to do battle with a weak ass like him. He is quite sure that there will be no battle but death, as he is no match with the dangerous and ugly creature. Without a minute of rest, the beast pounces on poor Ein, who had already even given up on life. He first gushes out his 2 eyes, and then picks him up immediately, where he pounds out life from his muscles. Ein now regrets his second existence and cannot wait to die in the beast's wicked arms. However, there is a twist in his unfortunate fate of repeated death. He did not get to even taste death this time because a young, powerful girl came to his aid. She saves him with her magic within the twinkle of an eye, claiming that she had only done it on the account of a beautiful lady. Apparently, she was sent to help him by the lady in white from earlier, whom he doesn't even know existed. Just then, he opens his eyes and only confirms his survival when he sees the pretty damsel seated right in front of him. On seeing her, the pervy simp is dumbfounded and can't even say a word. While Ein is mesmerized by the beauty of this mysterious woman, the one who rescued him earlier, Ursula, snaps him back to reality. She reminds him that her precious daughter, Yuri, has delicately brewed a cup of tea just for him, making it clear that she's the elf girl's mother. Ursula, already irritated, points out that her daughter went through all this trouble for someone as worthless as him and demands that he drink it with utmost gratitude. As Ursula speaks, Ein finally notices the charm beneath Yuri's bright features. The shy elf girl timidly offers him the tea, requesting that he at least take a sip. However, Ein hesitates and asks them to introduce themselves before accepting a drink from strangers. Frustrated with his behavior, Ursula shoves the tea into his mouth and orders him to stop talking and just drink. He reluctantly does so and, despite her rough approach, finds the flavor delightful. He thanks Yuri for making it. Lost in Yuri's beauty once again, Ein blurts out how cute she is, much to Ursula's displeasure. She warns him that if he ever tries anything funny with her daughter, she'll erase his pitiful existence from the world. Trying to piece things together, Ein assumes that these 2 women saved his life and brought him to the Tree of Life, Yggdrasil. Ursula, however, corrects him with an annoyed smirk, explaining that she had no intention of saving a worthless loser like him. In fact, it was Yuri who had begged her on her knees to intervene, which left her no choice but to deal with the monsters for his sake. Ursula declares that Ein should be groveling at Yuri's feet, expressing his deepest gratitude with every fiber of his being. Yuri, embarrassed, tells Ein there's no need to go that far. Still, Ein sincerely thanks her, calling her by her name, which immediately sets Ursula off again. She kicks him in the face for his casual tone. Yuri tries to calm her mother, admitting how happy she feels that someone else is addressing her by name. Ein interrupts the pair, questioning how Ursula could be Yuri's mother since she looks far too young. Ursula, momentarily pausing her fury, introduces herself as the guardian of the Tree of Life, Yggdrasil. She explains that there are 9 Yggdrasils in the world, each protected by a guardian whose sole duty is to watch over and safeguard them from evil. She adds that she's lived here since the tree first took root and has been raising Yuri ever since, casually revealing that Yuri is the spirit of Yggdrasil. Ein finds this revelation fascinating and begins to understand why Yuri is so breathtaking. Without realizing it, he flirts with her, which immediately triggers Ursula again. She threatens to gouge out his pervy eyes if he dares to ogle her daughter. Her words remind Ein of the monster that gouged his eye out in the dungeon. He also recalls how badly injured he was, leaving him puzzled as to why he is now in perfect condition. Ursula explains that the droplets of Yggdrasil healed his injuries, but that wasn't enough to regenerate his already crushed eyes. So, she had no choice but to craft a new eye from a part of the Tree of Life, which explains why one of Ein's eyes has a different color. Apparently, this prosthetic eye, made from the spirit of the tree, not only gave him the ability to see again, but also granted him strength. Ursula did all of this at Yuri's request, since, otherwise, she wouldn't care about a worthless loser like him. Ein turns to Yuri and asks why she went to such lengths to help him. She finally speaks in reply, saying she found him very kind when he touched the tree and thanked it for saving him earlier by cushioning his fall when he fell from above. Yuri felt flattered by his words since she is the tree, and that is why she helped him. She explains that there were other instances where people fell into the abyss, and every time, Yuri saved them. But none of them ever thanked her. Instead, they began taking her branches after discovering she was the Tree of Life and left, acting ungrateful. That's why Ein's words of kindness made her happy and made her want to help him however she could. Ein thanks Yuri for saving him twice and calls her his savior, making her flustered. Ursula, once again, can't tolerate Ein flirting with Yuri, so she tells him to leave immediately. But Yuri stops him, saying that he'll end up dying again, as it's very dangerous out there in the dungeon. Ursula responds that his getting hurt has nothing to do with them, but Yuri insists otherwise and begs Ursula to do something to bring him back to safety. As the guardian of Yggdrasil, Ursula cannot go too far from here, which is why she can't escort Ein outside. Furthermore, teleportation magic cannot be used inside the dungeon, so Ursula doesn't think they can help him in any way. Yuri gets awfully sad and starts crying, showing how much she cares for Ein, not wanting to see her daughter upset. Ursula decides to train Ein, helping him become strong enough to get himself out on his own. Yuri thanks her mother, and Ein, too, thanks both of them, suddenly hugging them, leaving both of them flustered. Wasting no more time, claiming to be the strongest sage out there, Ursula begins his training and takes him back to the dungeon, telling him to use the powers of his spirit eye to find what's ahead in the blinding dark path. With Ursula's help, he manages to unlock his spirit eye's powers, and as he opens his eyes, the path becomes as bright as daylight. With that done, Ursula picks a fight with a one-eyed bat monster and tells Ein to dodge its tediously fast movements as part of his first training lesson. Although finding it impossible at first, with Ursula's instructions, Ein appraises the monster's movements using his spirit eye, but that alone isn't enough to prevent any incoming attacks. And as a result, he gets his ears bitten off, rendering him unconscious almost instantly due to excessive blood loss. Ursula heals his wounds using a droplet of Yggdrasil and menacingly tells him to continue suffering, as he needs to work to death if he wants to master his skills. Although cruel, Ein gets up, appraises the monster's incoming attack, and learns that it's about to attack his left leg in 5 seconds, so he dodges accordingly. He gets too excited due to his success, which ends up getting him hurt once again, but at least he's eager to improve. Having began his training for a week, Ein's head is still very much dumb as he struggles to adapt to quick movements and actions to save himself from the beast he is training with. However, as he gradually moves on, he begins to learn how to appraise its power, and also becomes very aware of its next moment, such that Ein is now able to dodge numerous attacks from the monster. He asks Ursula in the middle of his training to weigh his performance, and this is where the stupid boy meets a temporary doom. He is attacked as a sword is slashed on his back because of his distraction. Ursula, on the other hand, is not perturbed. Rather, she seems to be enjoying the whole thing and cannot help but wallow in her wickedness. She heals him immediately and insults him for getting carried away with a little achievement. She also thinks that if he passes through more pain, he will learn faster. Immediately after healing him, she does not waste another second as she asks that they move to the next training immediately, which is for him to show her that he can defeat a gremlin. He quickly tries to avoid it, saying that it is too quickly and he does not think that he can achieve it. She calls him a dumbhead and says that she does not need his opinion. She is also very aware that he is a lazy ass and the best way is to force him. Following this, she tells him to make use of his magic eye and also gives him a magic stick. Yuri had personally crafted out the branch of the tree because she wants to help him out in a way. She is worried about him and how rigorous the training process might go. Following this, Ursula hands over the branch of the tree to him and asks him to resume his training immediately. However, on the first attempt to attack the monster, he fails. This is because he thinks he only needs appraisal to be able to defeat the monster. He misses count and the beast escapes from his grip. Seeing that he is at a disadvantage, Ursula warns him to get his shit together and make sure that he defeats the monster. Following this, he summons up courage and tries his very best to discreetly defeat the monster, while he figures out a way to appraise it and also speed up the attack from his own end. He ends up slamming the creature with the stick, and on the first attack, it falls to the ground, breaking through the floor with its heavy weight. Ein is shocked to find it defeated so easily. He had apparently thought that more effort would be needed to end the beast. Having finished this, Ursula does not seem satisfied, so she gives him another assignment, which is to make sure he eliminates a large amount of them. Although it is very much overwhelming for him, he manages to take them all down. He seems very happy after doing this, and seeing that he is moving forward with training, she decides to prepare something even more crazy and challenging for him. However, just before that, she plans to make him stretch his muscles, and by doing this, she makes him appraise the monster he had killed and acquire its power to himself. Having done this, there is a change with his muscular movement, and he begins to run very fast. He stops, but this brutal woman keeps healing him with the portion her daughter had given to her. She also makes him run around the place 1,000 times over, ensuring that he is able to stretch his muscles well, ignorant of the fact that she is only helping him get powerful. He calls her a useless bitch and a very wicked witch as he runs like a madman around the place. This continues for a while until he is fully strong. Having finished the terrible exercise, he is able to flex his muscles and also feels very strong. He now gains the confidence to open his big mouth to tell Ursula about how he feels like he can take down 1,000 monsters all at once. She ignores the fool who is engrossed in taking glory with past achievements and thinks of his next training. The next time they meet, she prepares him to fight with the beast that had originally killed him. This beast is really huge, and on the first look, one would think it will destroy him. He is firstly overwhelmed by its might, and because he had initially been killed by the beast, he takes his time to deal with it. After much precision, he takes down the creature without a single stress. Having done this with a very powerful strike, he finds it hard to believe that he had just learnt the secret to taking down gruesome creatures, and he is of course very much delighted that he had taken revenge on the particular one that had toiled with his life. He had unleashed fire on the bastard until it lost its breath, and this had made him very happy. Ursula seemed to be getting a hold of his lazy ass. He on his part finds it very hard to believe that he could take down the beast. It became so easy that he wished he had the training a while before that time. The beast that took him down mercilessly would have been killed brutally. He is much more grateful to Yuri for saving him and giving him an opportunity to train with her wicked and mean mother, who does not seem to really care about humans. Having taken down the monster, she decides to move on with his training and also report back to Yuri. Guys, a new manhwa for 2025 is out. I've left the link to my channel in the pinned comment. Go check it out in high quality. The manhwa is called When the Strongest Sorcerer's Sword Enters the Academy of Magic.